Hello everyone. Before we begin our series on the sacred feminine, I had some homework, for lack of a better word, that I would like to encourage you to engage in if you are able to and feel called to follow this series. This is really going to be at a very personal level, and this homework will really be about you and for you. Nothing that you have to share with anyone else. And I will encourage you for this to get some paper, grab a journal, however you choose to explore your own thoughts and emotions through written form. I would encourage you at this time to set up a way to do that for yourself so that you can go over these questions and really take a look at what your beliefs are about the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine. So, of course, in order to explore the sacred feminine, we have to also explore the sacred masculine. They are two halves of the same whole. So I would like you to begin by journaling about what your ideas are of God and also goddess. So I'd like you to start back from your childhood. What was your exploration and your experience of God as a child, and also the idea of the sacred feminine or the goddess in your childhood? Now, of course, if this wasn't really acknowledged, you might find that perhaps you saw her as Mother Mary. Perhaps you saw her in her shadow form as the Magdalene. Perhaps you experienced her as one of the saints. But the sacred feminine is there, even though she's very hidden. And so I'm going to encourage you to journal about and write about what your experiences of the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine were as a child. So who was God to you? What was your experience of a relationship with God? Was he someone that you prayed to? What did he look like to you? Did you feel like you could talk to him? Did you feel like he was judging you from above? Were you afraid of him? Did you feel unconditionally loved by him? And of course, the same questions for the sacred feminine. As a child, what was your experience of the sacred feminine? Who was she to you? Did you feel like you could talk to her? Was it even an idea for you to look at a female as being deity? Could the feminine be divine as a child? And if she could, what was your experience of that? If she couldn't, what was your experience of that? So this is going to be some real soul-searching stuff, and I would encourage you to give yourself some time to do this journaling. So we're starting with the childhood. What was your experience as a child? How did you look at deity and divinity as a child? And then through your teenage years, how did you experience and explore the idea of God and goddess through your peers, through your friends, and through your religion as a child? As a child, but also as a teenager in this case. Were you open to religion as a teenager? Did you have real, impactful, insightful feelings and intuitions of what religion was to you as a teenager? Were you forced to attend church as a teenager? Were you able to explore what your own beliefs were as far as religion and spirituality goes as a teenager? Really write about these. Don't just write down a quick sentence and move on, but sit with these. Sit with how you actually felt and what you actually experienced. Because for all of us, even if it's just through the media, in some way we are programmed as to our idea of deity as children, as young beings. We find that there is some programming that occurs, and it's instinctual, so we oftentimes don't even realize that it's there, or that we actually really do believe these things that perhaps we say we don't believe, or that we don't want to believe. So looking at it as a teenager through the lens of society now, and also through the lens of your peers. So what was your interaction with others of the opposite sex and the same sex? How did you look at others as being divine? Were you able to see the divine, or was it more of a hero worship aspect? Was it that kind of powerful, maybe hatred you might have felt for someone who was so different from you, or fear, or perhaps someone who was higher up the food chain than you, and you felt extremely inferior to them? Excuse me. Was that actually an experience of deity for yourself? Was that an experience of the sacred masculine or the sacred feminine? And describe what that was like for you. Now, as an adult, let's examine what you want to believe about the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine. What would you like to believe about God, about goddess, about spirit itself? What ideas, beliefs, indoctrinations are you longing to let go of or feel that you really are breaking away from? What hasn't worked for you in the past that you are letting go of or have let go of? What is your sense of empowerment when you look at divinity? What is your interaction and connection with divinity? What is your relationship with God? What is your relationship with Goddess? Are you able to see these beings and this divinity within yourself? Before you finish this exercise, take a moment and journal what you actually believe right now about God and Goddess, about spirit, about the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine. So, a lot of times we want to believe something, and yet we find in certain moments that we step back into a belief we've taken on from someone else. So this is what we're exploring with this part of the journaling. This might be the most painful for you. Be very loving with yourself and allow yourself to release any emotions that come up, because it's really time to get rid of those emotions. This is what helps us to release a belief that no longer serves us when we look at it head on. This is shadow work. So journal about what you actually still believe, what you're carrying around, perhaps that you would like to let go of, or maybe that you find still serves you and is something beautiful that you would like to carry on as a tradition that was perhaps handed down to you. Give yourself a lot of time for this exercise, and then allow yourself to get creative. Draw, paint, create a collage, write some poetry about what God and Goddess, about what divinity and deity actually are to you. And take some time with this exploration of the creative side of this. All right, that's my deep encouragement for you with this exercise. But these exercises are preparing us to explore the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine within ourselves. There are a few decks that I'll recommend to you that you might wish to explore as we go through this journey together. The Gods and Titans Oracle and the Goddesses and Sirens Oracle you may find to be very helpful through this experience, especially the Goddesses and Sirens, because we are going to be looking at, for the most part, the sacred feminine. You may also find that oracle decks like the Sacred Rebels Oracle and the Journey of Love Oracle are also beautiful ways to explore the sacred feminine. And of course, if you feel called to explore Isis, Kuan Yin, or Mother Mary, I would encourage you to purchase either or all three of those decks, also by Alana Fairchild. They'll be very supportive of your process of the sacred feminine and your exploration of how she reveals herself to you and explores herself within your own being. After you're done with this journaling, perhaps it will be time for you to sit down and meditate with the sacred feminine and the sacred masculine. Allow yourself 2 separate meditations for these, and then write down or talk about the experience. What wisdom and knowledge and understanding were you able to explore with the sacred feminine herself and the sacred masculine himself? What did they look like? As someone who explores her intuition through visual art, I would say to you that I love kind of crafting out what they looked like to me and talking about that. It's very helpful to me. So that's what I'm going to encourage you to do. But if you're someone who hears, has a general knowing, or who maybe catches a scent of something, anything like that, record that down as far as what the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine reveal themselves to be for you. So hopefully you find that this journaling and meditation, this type of homework before we start our series with the sacred feminine, is helpful for you to take your own pulse of where you stand with the sacred feminine herself and also with the sacred masculine. This is an exploration of how we can bring those 2 sides into balance, and I will be sharing my personal experiences with this as well. As far as my story with the sacred masculine and the sacred feminine, because it is, I think, an important part of my journey, but also the beliefs that I can get caught in myself at times, and exercises and ideas to help you to bring that back into balance when you find yourself getting off balance with that. So I will be sharing some of my story as well. Again, I will encourage you to continue to do any research on the sacred feminine you feel drawn to do. Joseph Campbell has a DVD on the Sacred Feminine. Well, it was an interview he had done that's been released, and I cannot remember right now the title of that, but I will put it in the bar below. It might be really great for you to take a look at that and get a handle on the history of the Sacred Feminine as well through that video series. Any of his books, and any books by, let's see, Shalaja Bonheim on the Sacred Feminine would be wonderful to take a look at. Any type of history or mythology on the Sacred Feminine, any books that contain those within them, may be helpful for you to decide to step into researching as well. So I am sending you all much love and many blessings. I hope that you're all finding time for yourself during this dark moon, and that the full moon and lunar eclipse on the 4th of April sees you doing well and exploring relationships in powerful ways. Many blessings, everyone. I will see you in the next video. Bye.